On a quiet September night in Michigan, a frantic 911 call shattered the calm. A man's trembling voice filled the line. He said he had just found his wife in the basement, unconscious, barely breathing. He claimed he tried everything, shaking her, calling her name, performing CPR, but nothing worked. By the time police arrived, the house was eerily still, too still. Officers rushed inside and followed the man down into the basement. There, lying motionless on the floor, was his wife. There were no obvious injuries, no signs of a struggle, only a faint mark on her neck, barely noticeable. The husband sat nearby, crying loudly, rocking back and forth. But something about his behavior felt off. One moment he was wailing in grief. The next moment he was calm, almost composed. Investigators quietly took note. According to the husband, the evening had started normally. He and his wife had taken their daughter to a football game, then gone out for drinks together. At the bar, they began arguing. It wasn't about money or parenting. It was about their future. He wanted to move. She didn't. The disagreement grew heated, and eventually she chose to walk home alone. When she got back, the argument continued before he went upstairs to cool off. He said the next time he saw her, she was already unconscious. At first, it seemed like a tragic suicide attempt, but the more investigators looked, the less sense it made. The basement ceiling was low, barely tall enough for someone to hang. The object she supposedly used couldn't support her body weight, and there were no injuries typical of a hanging. Slowly, doubt replaced sympathy. Then came a discovery that changed everything. Inside the woman's phone was a secret. For years, she had been communicating with another man, someone she had grown emotionally close to. Their messages revealed plans, dreams, and affection she had never shared with her husband. On the very day she died, they were still texting. To investigators, this introduced a powerful new possibility. Someone may have discovered the secret and reacted violently. Friends and family painted a troubling picture of the relationship. They described the husband as strict, controlling, and obsessed with perfection. He monitored everything, routines, habits, even social interactions. Over time, his wife had become isolated. She had fewer friends, less independence, and little escape, except for the one she kept hidden. Forensic experts eventually recreated the supposed hanging scenario. Their conclusion was clear. Under those conditions, she could not have died that way. Medical examiners ruled her death consistent with strangulation, not suicide. What once looked like a tragic accident now pointed toward homicide. Years later, the case finally reached court. Prosecutors argued that the husband's control, jealousy, and knowledge of the affair led to a fatal confrontation. The defense insisted there was no direct evidence, no witnesses, no confession, but the circumstantial puzzle was powerful. Behavior, forensics, motive. Piece by piece, the story formed. After hours of deliberation, the jury reached a decision. They found the husband guilty of murder. He was sentenced to decades in prison. A case that began with a desperate phone call ended with a conviction built on silence, secrets, and science. At its heart, the tragedy wasn't just about one night. It was about years of tension, hidden lives, and a relationship slowly collapsing behind closed doors. By the time help arrived, the damage had already been done, and the truth had been buried, not in the basement, but in the quiet spaces between two people who no longer understood each other.